Just a quick mic check.
She's trying
And
to.
so.
And
also. Do a quick mic check. Mic check. Bella, Commissioner Member McKnight, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We have a little bit of construction going on outside the here. I wanted to make sure that our microphones are working and.
The air conditioning work.
Okay, so we have a pretty full house today, considering we allow this to happen virtually as well. But anyway, we're gonna get started. We're gonna have director, information, and we'll, I'll move to order.
Welcome to the Planning Commission. It's great to see you all. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the Codified Ordinance of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Recusals from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you. Be sure to select and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen, and calling users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activities being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube. I will note quickly that there is a new microphone above in the back and you can pick up voices, so just be mindful if there are side conversations that will be put up on YouTube. All requests to speak in a particular matter submitted through proper channels have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comments on a particular matter. Proper channels for comments are listed below. Communication with members of this body must follow proper channels for consideration. Any comments received by the Wednesday 12 p.m. deadline are collected by city planning staff and disseminated to the commission members prior to any scheduled meeting. And the proper channels for public comment are listed below: sending an email to city planning, cleveland.ohio.gov, calling or leaving a message at the city planning phone line, or sending a letter, dropping off comments. A little bit more about the meeting rules and procedures and how we'll work through each agenda item. The chair will call each agenda item, and then each applicant will be invited to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the commission in order to facilitate a smooth presentation. Once the presentation is concluded, the chair will ask planning staff to summarize design review, committee recommendations, and any public comments received in the staff report. The deadline for public comments, as noted before, is noon on the Wednesday prior to any regularly scheduled city planning meeting. Comments received by the deadline are distributed to commission members prior to the meeting through Dropbox. Staff will also identify any members of the public present that's scheduled to speak. We also have emails printed out for those that came in after the deadline. Public comment is allowed at the discretion of the chair, and any individual providing public comment is permitted 2 minutes to speak to the agenda item in which they have interest. The chair will then request a recommendation from staff. The commission will then begin deliberations and project review. Any commission member except the chair may make a motion at any point after an agenda item has been called.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Present.
Fluker,
Present.
Curry, McCray Scott,
Present.
McKnight,
Present.
Sargent, Slight. Chairman, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. We're going to first vote on meeting minutes from last meeting. There's a copy here.
Yeah, I think that we approve the meeting minutes from the August 2nd, 2024 meeting.
And I second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
McKnight,
Yes.
Okay, the first matter on the docket, the zoning map amendment request. Before we get into it, I'm gonna allow Director Wong to introduce this. Then go to council sponsoring this, comments, directions. We're gonna change the order slightly. I would like staff then the report, then we'll take public comments.
So this is for ordinance number 791. Little background, this is mostly process and history for the case. So the Board of Zoning Appeals heard a case calendar 2024 on this particular parcel on May 6, 2024. At the time, the applicant sought to appeal the pedestrian retail overlay and local retail designation to allow for gas station use. That also included retail in the building. The Board of Zoning Appeals denied the appeal. In other words, they did not allow the gas station to proceed. Gas station use to proceed. The typical process following a Board of Zoning Appeals process is to file a case with the Court of Common Pleas to overturn the board's ruling. The applicant elected not to file with the Court of Common Pleas. The proposal before you today, which is ordinance 791, 2024, was introduced by City Council on July 10th, 2024. As you're aware, the typical practice with the Planning Commission, recommendations and approvals prior to the legislation introduction so that there can be any comments, changes prior to the introduction. And this practice allows for the Planning Commission to their recommendation prior to the council hearing. Council members Harrison and Kelly made me aware in May that their intent was to rezone the parcel. To be clear, this was done outside of planning's involvement beyond staff making the map that you see on the screen. Both council members know where planning staff stands on the issue. We've had a few discussions on the matter, both from the BZA hearing and for today's hearing, and about the perspective we're about to share. Our goal is to have a respectful dialogue, to present the findings, for you to hear both sides of arguments and kind of proceed from there. So Councilman Kelly and his assistant Dave Rogers are here today to present the proposed zoning case. Chair, if you want to make them.
Sure. You want to take a seat? Be more comfortable?
Thank you for having me here. Probably most of us probably know Gus Frankos, God rest his soul. I know I worked with him the first time he ever ran. For city council, I was with the Young Dems. I appreciate you taking me over, because a lot of us don't, but maybe we have a moment of silence. He's a great fellow. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, everyone. This property is vacant, been vacant about 3 years. It's obvious to me that in order to get it not vacant, there has to be some change in the zones, no matter what I would. Whether it be mixed use, whether it be drive-through, anything of that nature. I have a lot of vacant buildings in my work, the gas stations, drugstores. I got a huge county that was gonna be vacant, 26,000 square feet. The brick and mortar are gonna just plague this city, not just my work, it's supposed to be all. Especially when you come to drugstores, when you come to the dollar stores, they're closing them all over the country. I'm trying to get these brick and mortar buildings occupied. I don't feel letting it be unoccupied for, this one's been 3 years, for another 3 years or more is acceptable. If I can get someone to come in, it's amenable to my ward, the people in it, and everybody involved. So that's why I'm here. I mean, I had an opportunity where some people were looking to do this for one reason, one entity, maybe there'll be another entity now, I'm not sure, but no matter what I do, I need a change. And this probably won't be, although I won't be the only person, this probably won't be the only drugstore people are looking to do something so we can get it occupied. I don't know what we're gonna do with these folks. The planning commission, I know what Joy said, maybe she's got some little group coming together, but I talked to Secretary Hodge, we're asking about money, maybe for use these drugstores for their single floor, for single facilities, nice them up for senior citizens or people with disabilities. We talked to RTA about possibility if it's within their location of possibly giving some money as well. We're just trying to think out of the box to do this, but right now, this has been vacant 3 years anyway, but now drugstores, whether it's CVS, whether it's Rite Aid, whether it's, they're closing them all over the country. And every inner city, every major city's gonna be like, that's what I'm looking to do. That's nothing nefarious about it. This is a very passionate issue to some of the people. And I appreciate the passion and have each other's different sides of the coins and go from there. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Director Wong, real quick question. This is rezoning of a single parcel, correct? So it's a spot rezoning.
Yes. That would how we would, they would practice.
Okay, okay.
In that there's no specific site plan.
But when it comes to spots, when I look, I mean, I don't have anything within the area that I think does that. When they changed it to 13 years ago, was that a spot zoning too? I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, there's nothing there. I could tell, right? I had the school. Yeah, when I'm looking at the reading, it seems like there's gotta be something else around there. Yeah, but whatever. I mean, you guys, I'm just looking to get occupied, folks. You know, that's my main goal.
I can respond through our staff presentation when we get.
Sure. Just a quick question, Councilman. Are there any other exhibits, contacts, photos,
No,
the number of gas stations in and around the vicinity, any information relative?
well, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be a gas station, to be honest with you. I mean, now I'm just looking to put something there. And I need possible to change in order for a bank to finance something done. It seems apparent to me that unless there becomes a change where some entity that comes in there can put what they want in there, it's just gonna be difficult. There isn't any gas stations down that strip there. I think you have a convenience store a little bit down that way. I don't think that's all I have in Jackson. You have some four houses in my ward on that street there, then you have an apartment building. Those people that we talked to didn't have reception. There's a certain circumference that the zoning people sent letters to, and those people seemed to have an objection, but there is an objection. So we're here. I'm looking to see what I can do to get this building occupied and have an opportunity to do it. And I'm not just gonna say it's okay to be vacant for another time frame.
Councilman, I'm sorry, I guess I missed this. You said it might not be a gas station?
Well, I don't know what is, when we first came, it was for, yes, I don't know, we had anchor tenant Shell, I'm not sure. It doesn't have to be a gas station, I want it occupied with something. In order, even for a drive-through, you have to have change, even whether that be a pizza joint or whether that be a bank or something like that, I'm not sure now. It's become a hot issue, so I'm just looking to see.
I understand. Any more comments, sir?
No, I'm
Well, thank you. We're going to proceed with the staff report.
Good morning. I will be presenting the staff report today. This is Director Huang from the City Planning Commission. So before us today, as the councilman mentioned, the proposed zoning map change ordinance 7091/2024 proposes to remove the pedestrian retail overlay and changes the local retail designation to general retail. A little bit of a lag. So per usual, we like to give findings. We typically give context and history of the zoning matter, and then provide any other insights. And so if you look at this slide, this is about the nearby context. So you have a mix of residential to the west, Udall Park, Udall Rec Center, and the existing Marion Seltzer schools to the north and to the east. And then this is also within the Clifton West Boulevard Historic District over on the west side over there. And you'll see from these photos, there's this history of classic retail storefronts that come up to the street, right up to the sidewalk. We've highlighted the parcel here that is in question. So this is a street view looking at the parcel going westbound on Madison. And then the bottom photo shows a traveler going eastbound on Madison with the parcel highlighted in red. These are some slides that we also presented at the Board of Zoning Appeals hearing with a little bit more about the surrounding context. So as planning commissioners, as staff, we really look at everything around it, and we try to have citywide policies that make sense with the context. And so you'll notice that the site itself is highlighted in yellow, that square kind of near the bottom. Above the site are several city-owned public assets of interest that involve, again, the rec center, Udall Park, existing Marion Salter School, which is shown in that photo. The city of Cleveland also recently made an investment in the fire station number 23, which is also on Madison Avenue. We believe some of these are critical investments coming up in the area that may impact the site. According to recent design review approvals, the Landmarks Commission recently approved a organization called Sisters Haven, which is a small home near the site. And this is an organization that supports at-risk new moms who need a safe space to begin their first weeks with their children, weeks and months. The Planning Commission also recently approved the Depot and Detroit development site, which you see on the top left, that looks familiar to you. It is a transit-oriented development that is centered around the West Boulevard GCRTA station, and that's a low-income tax credit housing project. Overall, I also want to highlight at large a couple of the policies that the Planning Commission has approved recently. So this site exists within this shaded area that you see, kind of see like the bubbles going around the bottom there. So the darker gray represents the transit-oriented development zone, which is where we've recently passed the transportation demand management program, and is meant to really support walkability and multiple forms of transportation. And then to the far right, to the northeast, is the form-based code pilot area, which is a zoning transformation that really seeks to present and preserve more walkable form in the neighborhood. So how do these transit-oriented and walkability topics connect to the proposed zoning map change before you today? So we looked at the history of the zoning. Back in 2023, there were 2 ordinances that rezoned the corridor. You'll see here, this is the map from those, from specifically Ordinance 75813. This changed the corridor to have local retail, as well as do a pedestrian retail overlay. And the purpose of the PRO is to establish and maintain the viability of older neighborhood shopping districts by preserving that pedestrian-oriented character. To also protect public safety by minimizing conflicts between vehicles and pedestrians. And that is from section 343.23 of the zoning code in the purpose section. This next slide talks a little bit more about the kind of the purpose of walkability and pedestrian retail overlay and what's allowed and what's not allowed. So prohibited uses in the PRO include open sales lots, filling or service stations, which is another name for gas stations, car washes, drive-through lanes. All other uses, those are just some of them. Other uses in the underlying district are permitted. Local retail, which is in chapter 343.01, is for local daily retail needs, such as clothing, books, eating places, banks, offices, corporations, etc. That's what is the current underlying zoning today. This proposal removes both the pedestrian retail overlay and the local retail designations, and would replace it with a general retail zoning. General retail includes all of the above, so our Euclidean zoning goes up. And this includes gas stations, car washes, vapor lounges, nightclubs, adult entertainment. And I do want to mention that local retail does accommodate mixed use. So it does accommodate residential and retail because of the way that our Euclidean zoning works, right? We go from less to more restrictive. In this case, we're going from a more restrictive to less restrictive, and that's allowing more types of uses that may or may not impact the neighborhood. We also like to see how it connects with the citywide plan. This was adopted late aughts, 2007. Connecting Cleveland 2020 citywide plan has a policy section about retail. And specifically, 1C talks about specialized zoning districts to foster well-designed pedestrian-oriented mixed-use retail districts. And wanted to make that a note for you as well as you consider your decision. In terms of traffic safety and public safety, and this was presented at the Board of Zoning Appeals as well. There have been several crashes over the course of the 4-year study period from ODOT, including 59 total injuries. And again, this goes back to the public health and safety to reduce the traffic conflicts between pedestrians and pedestrians and traffic as noted in the pedestrian. So a few questions for you all to consider as we move into more dialogue. First of all, I do want to note, even if the proposed gas station from BZA doesn't proceed, the risk here is that we may open up the parcel to other uses that may impact the neighborhood. We've seen a lot of uses that encourage, children and youth, including the rec center, the school, the daycares, and the new moms. There, we have that concern because there's no specific site plan or use before you today, and so if those retailers don't work out, there could be other retailers that come in with by right use essentially that could go in this corner of the neighborhood. Then the questions here before you. Is the proposed zoning change reasonable and in accordance with the comprehensive plan? Does the zoning change promote public health and safety? Do the goals of the zoning change complement the nearby context? Is the change singling out a lot in a discriminatory different treatment from that afforded surrounding land, which is similar in character, which is from a case a lot versus the village of Beechwood? Is it change to the benefit of one property owner, specifically without a site plan? So in summary, I wanted to put this slide up to show all the topics that we've discussed today. We estimate there's about $70 million being invested into this area between the public assets and the housing that is going on at the transit station that's north of here. We do have a concern over the practice of spot zoning. For me, this is a precedent that could really impact the future of zoning, and that if there is a use that pops up in the future, this practice could really impact, these parcels one by one. And it becomes a little bit more arbitrary. So that is a worry that I have. I also want to note that, parcels should be cleaned for the plan and with the upfront input of planning staff or the planning commission. So my kind of planning opinion, staff opinion here, director's note, is to continue with the Board of Zoning Appeals opinion. We're not talking about a gas station necessarily today, but that we should hold the zoning based on the findings presented today with the planning policies that we presented, context surrounding it, that a local retail, pedestrian retail oriented use would be supportive of the overall corridor and in alignment with prior comprehensive plan, prior zoning changes that had been legislated about 10 years ago. My request to you today is that the Planning Commission take action on the item and move it to the council hearing. And what I mean is, I'd like for us to vote, not postpone it. And I think we've had a lot of dialogue. This is not a surprise to the council member and his assistant. We've sat down, we've talked, and this is one in which we agree to disagree, but we'll continue working together because this neighborhood is so important and there's so many things that we can do together. So I just wanted to put these things before you for your consideration and your dialogue.
Thank you, Director. We're gonna start the public comment portion of this process. I'd like to remind everyone you have 2 minutes. I'd like you to state your name and address. Obviously you're a resident, but if you're affiliated with any other organization, that would be nice. I'm going to be as democratic as possible. I don't know how many folks are online who want to speak, but I'm going to start in the room first. And I'm just going to start from the left and work my way across if that's okay. Mayor Kucinich, I understand you might have a pressing issue, so I'm going to take
Mayor Kucinich first. Go ahead, Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Members of the planning commission, thank you very much. Appreciate your indulgence. Just a little bit of background. I live in this ward, at a house for 53 years. And I've served this area as a city councilman, as a mayor, as a congressman, state senator. So I'm quite familiar with the area. Now in Congress, when somebody says something with which you agree, you stand up and say, Mr. Chairman, I want to associate myself with the remarks of the gentle lady from Michigan, Ohio, wherever. I want to begin by saying I want to associate myself with the analysis of the director of city planning based on the report that she's just submitted to the board. I don't think that I can say anything that would improve on the analysis that was just presented to the board. And I might say, Mr. Chairman, and following very closely the questions that you had about this, if we're not sure that there's going to be a gas station here, but then a zoning change would be approved to general retail, which would allow a gas station, that means you're going to get a gas station. It also means you're going to get a liquor permit, which goes with any gas station I've ever seen. Now, I live off 117th Street. There's a half dozen gas stations, one into the other. It's not like, we're in a desert of gas stations. But to preserve parkland, to preserve the interior of this neighborhood, this is a major thoroughfare we're talking about. We're talking about preserving the pedestrian integrity, local retail integrity, in a neighborhood, by the way, which is, struggle to maintain the park, to save trees, to be able to have a school, all those amenities which make a community. The last thing that makes a community, in this case, a gas station, or anything that would open the door, as the planning director said in her report, to such a thing. So, I want to thank each and every one of you for your service on the planning commission. And just, I haven't been before this commission for 46 years. Last time I opposed the sale of the municipal electric system. That shows you, I'm being serious. This is not, to me, this is the neighborhood. It's about preserving the neighborhood. And so, I support the members of the community who are here in opposition to this change. And I want to thank the commission for engaging with the people in the community, to give them a voice, to give them an opportunity to be heard. And again, I appreciate being here. To me, this isn't even a close question, but the board does discharge its responsibility in reviewing any ordinance that's presented to you by city council. That's what you propose. Do I understand that? I know the process. I want to thank each and every one of you, and I ask that you carefully consider the concerns of the community when you make your decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next time I know you have to add all your other titles, Congressman. I thought mayor was more.
Well,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we're gonna get started with the balance of public comment. I want to be clear, and I wasn't clear before. We're gonna go with proponents first, people who are in favor. Then we'll start with the opponents who might be opposed. So if there's anyone in the room that's in favor, I'd like to take those comments first. Yes.
My name is Teresa Lawrence, and I'm in favor. Oh, my one is I'm great.
You're at, who are you with, ma'am?
My name is Teresa Lawrence, and I live in the neighborhood, and my husband and I own income property.
Your address.
My address is 2065 West 100. We also own 2061 West 100 and 2049 West 100. And I live within sight of this building. And it's all, right now, it's all cleaned up. And they started with some kind of white stuff on the windows that I'm sure isn't going to come off. Now the windows will have to be replaced. Previous previously, you all know there was a CVS pharmacy or drugstore there. One of the reasons they had to close was theft. We do have a lot of theft in the neighborhood. But we also have a lot of people that don't have cars and don't have bank accounts. And the proposal I saw for this site was limited gas pumps, 2 electric vehicle charging stations, a small bank, a carryout, prepared food carryout, and the gas station itself. We, as a community, in the past, have asked stores not to sell alcohol. The CVS was one of them. They sold beer, but they didn't sell anything. And the beer they started like 10 years after they were there. But, and you haven't asked the property owners not to sell alcohol, and they went along with it. So I think this is an option that needs to be looked at. But I bought my first property over on West 105th in 1981. In 1981, that was still a gas station. And there was a little store along with the gas station. And I was even present when they pulled the leaking gas tanks out. And I think that was about 1983. Retail wall plans. Right now with the neighborhood changing the way it is, we've worked really hard. Those of us that have lived in the neighborhood I've been there since 1981, for 30, 40 years, worked closely with the police to turn the neighborhood around, get some clean. We think leaving the place open for low income housing is going to destroy all the hard work. Low income housing where, right now our neighborhood is a mixture of low income and middle income people. My tenants are Section 8. But if we get a low income high rise, I believe that's going to change the neighborhood back to when all the gangs were running through the streets, shooting everything up. And I don't want that to happen. We work too hard for that to happen. And that is what my concern is. It can't stay the way it is, because it looks ugly and up. And it's the first thing you see when somebody comes to visit me, they have to look at it.
We can wrap up, that was 2 minutes.
Okay, but, I'm really concerned about leaving the space open and putting a possibility for low income housing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments. Any more in the audience that's in favor of the proposed map change? Okay, I don't see anyone. Is there anyone online who's in favor of the proposed map change? Would like to speak? You want to take it? You can raise your hand.
Did not see anybody turn with their hand raised. I do see that it looks like a J just unmuted, so maybe we can let
Yes.
J.
Are you guys able to hear me or no?
Yes, sir. You have, would
Okay.
you like to speak on behalf of the map amendment?
Yeah, I mean, I read yesterday, and again, I am pro this change. Again, my name is Jay Silva. I live.
Jay,
Go ahead.
just
Yes.
state your full name and your address, please.
Of course. Jay Silva. I live at 2007 West 100.
Thank you.
So I am pro. The proposal is just going to generate, from what I understood, I guess more traffic movement and more choices for the folks that live in the neighborhood. Right? I have lived in the neighborhood since 2012. My first house was on West 89, and then we moved to 2007 West 100. So we see a good transformation. I was concerned a little bit on, I guess it's spot zoning. I don't know if that is the case. I think the first gentleman that spoke, he said, if you are doing for a gas station, that's what you're going to get, right? You're not going to get a difference in choice of what type of food we can purchase, right? If I want something quick, do I have a choice of healthy snacks, right? So that's kind of like, are we really planning for the success of the neighborhood that is so vibrant and it has transformed so much in the last few years? Or is this more of the same? I think like somebody said, West 117, gas station after gas station after gas station with the same offerings, the same price, and no diversity of the consumer. So I guess while progress is awesome, are we truly planning for what the inhabitants of that area want? And I think I want, my wife wants, my kid wants, my neighbors want diversity of choice, a little bit of safety. So I'm always concerned whether we're planning for what we, the people, truly want. And that's my spiel.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. So we're going to now switch over to opponents, those opposed to the map change. I'm just gonna keep continuing down the first row there. Are you here, sir?
I'll keep it short.
Name and address, please.
My name is Ken First. I live at 2103 West 91st Street. The only thing I want to say is I understand the problem with vacant commercial properties in the neighborhood, but rezoning to anything that will go into that property smacks of desperation. And the reason why we have comprehensive plans and community plans for what we want neighborhoods to look like is to stay strong in the face of rezoning just for whatever will go into that space. And the good things that we've seen on the west side, I believe have been a result of sticking to those plans, even when it's difficult, and seeing them through to the transformation of neighborhoods for the residents there. So I just don't want to be desperate and put anything in a vacant property, even when it's antithetical to the character of the name.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good morning. My name is Paula First, presently at 2103 West 91st Street, formerly at 2107 West 101st Street. I wrote a letter the first time this came before the board, and I regret that it's even necessary to come before you again this time. Given the fact that neighborhood residents overwhelmingly approved a gas station the first time the levy request was submitted, I oppose the zoning designation change on environmental grounds. I oppose the zoning designation change on safety grounds. As a former resident of 101st, I can attest to the fact that for many years it's been kicked around to close West 101st to street traffic at West Boulevard to try to reduce accidents at that area and traffic entering into that intersection. I think that's still an extraordinarily valid goal. I'm a member of the Northwest Neighborhood Board and sit on the Economic Development Committee. I do not represent that organization as I said before you, but I've been on that committee throughout the time period the CVS has been closed. And I can attest to the fact that the owners of that parcel were approached and in conversation with a bakery and also a furniture store. We live in a capitalist society, for better or for ill, and I would suggest that if at any time the owners of that property wish to rent it, those are two options that they could have chosen to move forward with if they were interested in seeing that property occupied. And one further point that is a great disappointment to me, I would also speculate that if the owners of the property were all interested in the neighborhood or the city of Cleveland, they would maintain the property, they would care for it, and they would, if it was tagged, they would act quickly to remove the tagging in order to maintain just the safety and aesthetic appearance of the neighborhood. The fact that they haven't done that, it speaks to me as to their goodwill and intentions in moving forward with any development at all. And I thank you for your time, and I respect your decision and the current zoning overlay.
Next, please.
Can you speak up a little bit, sir?
I have to have this 32, 74, was 27, 99, together.
Thank you.
I am a community activist for over 20 years in their neighborhood. Remember something, that this situation, the question was, do you do is adjacent to their common community park? They didn't tell me, they won't tell you. This show that it's right again separated by nothing from the park. It's playing in the park, this is crossing from Madison Avenue, from that corner to the school, right behind that place, to that place, to that address. They play behind that address. Kids from all. Sometimes kids come from other roads as teams. So having a gas station, you can make money, especially students. Ice house use gas, but ice shows. So complaining about the homeless that sometimes comes in there and their table, then that change. You're gonna have a lot more homeless, hanging and gangster and drug users. Because then it'll be easier for them to buy the black and white and switcher, and we all know what they use the black and white and switchers for. They're gonna bully the good kids who come and placement. I raised 3 kids in that. And they grow up to be fine men. Their kids grow up in that park. Thousands of people in that community grow up in that park. Now, Councilman Kelly, with all due respect to him, I respect his honesty. But he object to people from Ward 15 getting involved in that. 85% of the neighborhood surrounding that, they live in Ward 15. Actually, Ward 11 came to that location is by accident. The city hall politics, they wanna open path to former councilwoman house, so they took part of that thing with it. Councilman Danny Kelly doesn't even live in, doesn't even live anywhere close to that.
So that was your bell, wrap it up.
But I'm gonna leave it up to your conscience. Think your kids are playing there. Think your kids need the park. You don't want drug dealers and gangsters to bully them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Nikki Hudson. I live at 1333 West 89th Street. I'm in the form-based code pilot area. I'm also part of the Friends of Cadell Commons Park. We spent the past year trying to save the park, and thanks to the Honorable Dennis Kucinich, we were successful, in large part to Dennis Kucinich. I'm also on the board of Northwest Neighborhoods CDC. I do want to expand on what Fauzi was saying about this section of Ward 11, which is heavily gerrymandered, to, as he said, former Councilwoman Donna Brady's house, which is on West Boulevard near Clifton. The area is such, an anomaly in how the other, the ward maps are drawn, that it even has a name. It's known locally as the Scorpion's Tail. So this gas station is located in part of the Scorpion's Tail. Ward 15 is across the street, the pawn shop across the street is in Ward 15. The school is in Ward 15, half of the park is in Ward 15. I live in Ward 15. My house was on the map that was presented by the planning commission. So this, even though I'm not in Ward 11, this is my neighborhood. And I believe that the people who live in the neighborhood should be the ones to, have a say in what happens there, regardless of who is their council person. In particular, I also object to the assumption that a council member should have the final say on what happens in the ward, especially when it is in a gerrymandered district surrounded by another ward. I have issues with the use of a gas station. I've lived near a very problematic store that took, 7 years to address, to finally fight and get their liquor license taken away. I feel like allowing a gas station, especially one with a liquor license, to be put in this location is a huge step backwards for the neighborhood, and it will saddle us with a problem for many, many years to come. And it is entirely avoidable. We just need to adhere to the pedestrian overlay district as it is, and refuse this, really what would be a noxious use of the site. It would increase crime in the area, increase emissions, air pollution for the entire neighborhood. Both of those things do not abide by ward boundaries. I also agree that if the property owners truly cared about the site, that they would upkeep the property. And also, they do own another gas station on the east side that is also a very problematic store. It's a Sunoco from Buckeye. And if that is an example of what they would put in the Cadell neighborhood, then we are really in for some serious problems.
Hi, my name is Deanna Barisa. I live at 3332 West 98th Street, Cleveland, Ohio. I, along with Fauzi and Nikki, am also with Friends of Cadell Commons Park. To kind of piggyback on their points, I know I'm pressed for time. This area, the first question that was addressed on that slide is in regards to will this fit in the neighborhood, will this fit in character? You have a rapid station, TOD development, a school we're fighting hard to preserve, this beautiful street grid system, this walkable neighborhood full of Victorian and Edwardian homes. This gas station, to be honest, will stick out like a sore thumb. This neighborhood was built for people, for those that walk, roll, ride, children. This type of development is something that belongs out in the suburbs. Cleveland is a legacy city, and we need to preserve that. By having overlay districts like this, that is something that does protect neighborhoods like this. And the precedent that we're setting for spot zoning is basically saying, well, 10 years down the road, I want this to be a sprawling store with a gigantic parking lot. I want this to be this. We need to honor the history that we do have, because Cleveland is changing so rapidly. And some people may look at this and think it's not a big deal, but you have the school right here, the park, the rec center. It's a family-oriented space, and I'd like to see it still maintained for the people that live in the neighborhood, but also frequent. The park is something that we're all fighting for. I frequent that park myself. We may not have a decision of what we want there yet, but I would say we're still in the same ballpark as those who are for the gas station. They don't know exactly what they want either. We might not have something we know can be there, but we have ideas of what would be the best and highest use. I implore you guys to kind of consider that. Let's honor this neighborhood and let's make sure whatever goes there, does respect that. So I thank you guys so much.
We will now proceed to the second row. Gentleman on my left, are you here to comment? No, you're not. Sir.
Good morning. I'm Todd Gonzalez, live at 10305 Baltic Road. So I'm in Ward 15. I won't repeat what people argued about my interest in this, but I will say I want to add a couple of other layers that haven't been addressed. This part of Madison, just to the east of it, is incredibly vibrant at a very small scale. I am a weekly visitor to a farm stand, Good Earth, that is there, that was painstakingly pieced together over years by Norm and Jeanette Tom. I regularly attend a monthly thing at the Story Church, which is through the Neighbor Up Foundation that bring neighbors together. This is also like 1 block away from the site, and they also host a weekly community store for people in the neighborhood that is housed by volunteers. So there are people that are invested in this space that are trying to bring things to the neighborhood at a smaller scale, bring food access, bring connect community members. I understand that there are many different abandoned sites within Cleveland, but I'm a fairly relatively new resident. Cleveland, I've been here for about 2 years, and I kind of am thinking as I hear all of this, like, what is the city that we want to have? And that is what the zoning and our planning commission helps us to see, to keep a focus and to keep a vision of where we want to achieve. A lot of this sounds like it is, someone mentioned the word desperation, and I think that, chasing after things that just because we want to have something isn't really good enough. There are interim things that could be done for safety and issues, if those are truly big concerns for that area. Again, the property owners could fence off the property if they're concerned about that being a space. So just trying to get something in there isn't good enough reason for me to change the zoning of an area that already is gaining momentum with community involvement through these other smaller scale things. I'm also a cyclist, and that's my primary form of transportation. That's an incredibly unsafe intersection, regardless of the number of traffic things. There's many near misses, partly because there's a very steep curve that goes around west at that point. I have serious concerns about people zooming in and out of any kind of facility, gas station or otherwise, onto that street where people already have trouble navigating that curve, and it encourages people who are not residents of the neighborhood who routinely speed through it. So I asked, for you to consider, what is it that we want to be, and how has the planning department, with all of their expertise, considered the situation and all of their different layers, so that we don't set a precedent where we're piecemealing, changing things as we, in order to try to fit into a need that could be fit in other ways. Thank you for that.
I really truly appreciate everyone adhering to the time. A lot of comes, I appreciate that.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brent Eisenbach. I live at 1267 West 103rd Street. I'm a resident of Ward 15, but again, I consider this area as part of the neighborhood in which I reside. I'll echo the previous commenters' comments about a dangerous intersection. This is the way that we get to Little League practice, soccer practice, and everything else. And my kids know when we're driving there, it's time to be quiet in the car when we're driving through that intersection, so that I can focus on what traffic's doing. The pedestrians, which are fantastic, and I like to know what they're doing, and just understanding the safety of that intersection. I'm a student of urban studies and planning, and spot zoning used to be something that we would see in a textbook. I can't really believe that now I'm here having to struggle against this. It's something that we always understood to be adverse to the overall vision of the master plan. And to have a council person pushing this about zoning, who is out of touch really with the people that live around there, as evidenced by a meeting that was held, the BZA and the reaction of opposition during the BZA meeting. It really speaks to the gerrymandered aspect of it, and also the vision of the immediate neighbors and the people that use this space to what they want in the future. The owner's representative or owner, the ownership of that property is a little convoluted. Like, I don't know if anybody really fully understands it. Was a well-known county zoning administrator, and during the public meeting, he had come forth and said, I knew that there was restrictive zoning on this. It was a slam dunk. It's just an administrative change, a rubber stamp. And that's antithetical to, again, that vision of master planning. To just think that someone who seemingly knows how to control the levers of government could come in and just rubber stamp this out of existence. We're fighting hard at Cadell Commons Park to make sure that that's a park in a safe place. And I think whether it's a gas station or now some amorphous general retail, as the councilperson represented this morning, is going to work against everything that's happening in that neighborhood. We need to stay the course, and we need to make sure that this doesn't happen. In my professional life, oftentimes I'm working with municipalities and elected officials to hold the line on their well-reasoned and their legislative decisions that are made, and tell them to calm down and not just face the bright, not just chase the bright shiny object that's coming along. And that's exactly what's happening here. Is we recognize that it's an abandoned building, it's not in great shape. I would hope that the owners and city code enforcement could help clean it up, but we can't just chase the bright shiny object for what the ultimate vision of the neighborhood should be. Thank you.
Hello. My name's Jonathan Steyer. I live at 2057 West 100. Along with Nikki and Paul, I am involved with this neighborhood, so I just want to disclose that I'm not here in any representational capacity. For organization, I'm here as a resident of the area. But I have a lot of points that have been covered already, so I'll be trying to be pretty brief. I interact with the location multiple times a day as either a pedestrian accessing RTA service or on my bike. I no longer have an operational car, so I do rely on transit and bikes walking everywhere. And I do agree that the PRO exists for a reason, and that is specifically to prevent a use such as the aforementioned gas station, which was denied on May 6th. I believe this is a key pedestrian and biking location, and I do believe there's significant local opposition. I know for a fact at the March 23rd committee meeting, your independents were opposed to park centric use. I also know the owner of Boulevard Terrace, which is the large apartment building next door, and it's located in Ward 11, did submit a letter of opposition to the. So I do feel confident saying I know there are people opposed to this, acknowledging my neighbor trees. I know there's people that are in support of it too. That is maybe a valid and support entitled to their opinions. But I think we need more calming in this area. We don't need to modify zoning in a problematic way that would allow the built environment to be degraded further. I'll skip over the crash data. We saw that already. There's significant kind of traffic violence in this area. And my issue with this ordinance now really is the spot zoning, which has been touched upon. I think it's inherently problematic. It undermines the CM zone, undermines the form-based code pilot area. And this switch to general retail allows, as other people have mentioned, a series of noxious uses. I think some of the other uses that Council Member Kelly cited that are not a gas station sound great, but none of those are precluded by the existing zones. Changing the zoning to general retail only introduces new negative uses to the community, and therefore I don't see the justification for this ordinance. As has been mentioned, this is 200 feet from a school, it's next to a park, it's next to a rec center. Any of the new uses that the zoning change would allow that introduce environmental pollution are counter to the US EPA's school siting guidelines. This is next to high frequency transit, the red line. There's the 26 bus, the 25 bus, and the 18 bus. The 25 and 26 are both 24/7 service. This is a pretty transit rich area, at least by Cleveland terms, and as mentioned, it's within the TDM zone. So this zoning change is very much counter to the aspirational goals, but also just the realistic policy that has recently been created and implemented in this area. I sympathize with my neighbors who don't want to look at that, because the current building is in a very poor state, but to that point, it's not abandoned. It has an owner, we know who the owner is. The owner has a representative who's been engaged in all these discussions. The city should be holding them accountable, they should be maintaining their property. Bending over backwards with this problematic precedent for a private investor who has done nothing to be a steward of the community is very problematic to me, and I would implore you all to not support this ordinance.
Thank you. Proceeding to this third row, who's next in the third row? Coming across? Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Thomas, 3278 West Boulevard. I'm opposed to bringing more drugs and alcohol into the neighborhood. Her concerns that the building is a site for sore eyes and that most composed individuals sometimes plastic overnight. Bringing more drugs and alcohol into our neighborhood will only create more individuals or causing individuals for their life. The cigarettes and alcohol that I started using when I was 12 years old led me into and this neighborhood is struggling with drugs. But the proposed commercial uses out in the site will make the neighborhood less safe. And also, I just would like to note that the property owners are not sitting, not stakeholders in our community, and it's safety of the city.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, we're going down, gentlemen. Black suit, no? No, 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 no. Okay, I think we're done. Again, we appreciate the stability you brought to this conversation. Everyone been respectful. So I'm going to say we're going to close out the public comment at this point, and we're going to deliberate on the commission. So I don't know.
May I just make an administrative note?
Sure.
So there are 3 emails that were in your Dropbox. If you just go to the next slide, you should look familiar once they're online. We also did receive 4 emails in opposition. I did take out Mr. Brent's, his here to speak.
Thank you, Director. Any comments from the commission?
Appropriate to make the motion at this time, Mr. Chair.
May I make one more comment on the process before? And I would also encourage some rationale discussion.
Yeah. Well, I'll start since no one wants to say anything. Thanks, Director. Honestly, you know, this is always difficult. I was raised on the west side near there. I take the bus to the Dell. When I was a kid, that was a long time ago, by the way. I hear what you're saying. I hope that we're being more strategic about these big boxes or small boxes being vacated in our city. I think and so if it's going to be an epidemic or pandemic, if you will, we really need to start talking about what that means. And not have a knee-jerk reaction to things. I believe that having a vacant building in anyone's neighborhood is not a good thing. But, you know, if there's an owner at the table, it's a lot easier to navigate those things. So I just wanted to have that say. Turn that over to my.
I think Director has a comment.
Can I add a little bit about process too, just from the staff perspective? So, you know, in our view, you know, this case, which is a special exception use, you know, we believe that the proper process is for us to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and then to the Court of Common Pleas, which is typical. And so, you know, that's Board of Zoning Appeals is typically the proper jurisdiction to do more of these like one-off cases. And, you know, rather than just getting a single parcel rezoning out of alignment with the rest of the district, And the BZA did find that the property owner did not meet the legal standards for the specific case. And for us, typically the planning commission's on the front end of the process. And so to come through kind of through a separate process to change one singular parcel. And unfortunately, this doesn't show the whole corridor right now, the zoning, but there are pedestrian retail districts like across the Madison Avenue area. That is really kind of your concern is that process wise, this could open up. So I think I said that before.
To the chair, one, I just want to thank the residents that presented this morning. It takes courage, and so I recognize that and respect that. We are facing a epidemic, I'm not sure, Chair, which is the appropriate term, with the conundrum of the brick and mortars. And so I respect the councilperson's comments that this is an issue, but I don't think it's a singular issue for one person, one council person, one neighborhood to have to contend with. But I also understand the reality, right? So it's a both and situation, and I agree with all the comments of what the director presented earlier this morning. We cannot approach this on a case by case basis. It doesn't benefit our community in the long term. And so I am opposed to thinking about what this potential zoning change could be. As an urban planner, there was a gentleman here who referenced, I also remember studying spot zoning when I was in grad school some years ago. And so I really do want us to look at the holistic nature of how we're viewing our neighborhoods. I am very familiar with that intersection. While I wasn't a Cleveland resident, I was a Lakewood resident, but I got off of that exit all the time. And so I also remember vividly navigating that west curve and still frequent that area to visit friends and family. So again, thank you. I know it's a challenge, Councilman, to manage how we're going to deal with these brick and mortar because I live in Old Brooklyn. We have we have a Rite Aid that closed up the street from me. We have a couple that are closing just in my immediate proximity. But again, I think it goes back to the policy, to the plans that this department, the planning department, has put in place with form-based code, as well as the TOD, for us to be vigilant about making sure that we maintain our commitment to those overall plans.
So with that in mind, I would like to make a motion that you do not.
Can I make a comment, Denise, first?
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Sorry, I'm just
Partner.
here on the web. I just wanted to echo the precedent concerns. I think it's really valid to not want to open this body up to spot zoning considerations. And, there is a Board of Zoning Appeals process, Court of Common Pleas appeal process that should be followed in these situations. And I also just wanted to mention, we have our 5 questions to consider here on reasonableness in the context of a comprehensive plan, which I don't feel that this is aligned with the plan for the neighborhood. Promotion of health and safety, which, a gas station proximate to within the neighborhood context of a park, a school, does not promote health and safety, and so on through those questions. So I just wanted to give those thoughts and especially underscore the precedent concern.
Thank you, Isabel. Very well said. I can't make the motion.
I know it's going. I'd like to make a motion not to change the use of a parcel of land north of Madison Avenue between West 100th Street and West 101st Street. Change the zoning use of a parcel of land north of Madison Avenue between West 100th Street and West 101st Street from local retail to general retail.
That's a question to the administrator. Does it need to be specific about denying, or it's not changing?
I'll put it down as disapprove. I think that's essentially what you're saying.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Michael. We have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
McKnight,
Yes.
Any further discussion on My members? No members? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Good luck.
Yeah, if I just do one thing here, the reason you know,
No, we're closed. I'm sorry. Otherwise, I'd have to open it up.
oh, no, we just started.
Yeah.
That's fair. But, thank you all.
Thank you.
I don't want to. I was going to ask, so like make it all, but. I was like, yeah, I'm right on the one. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I actually got off on that.
Now. We're gonna get started here, Director.
That's okay, thank you.
All right, we're gonna go to the next agenda item, which is a conditional use request at 2202 East 80th Street, first section, zoning section 337.08, paragraph G. Who's here to present?
Rob Reed.
Okay. And they're Xavier Day with City Planning, here to present the conditional use portion. So,
Would you like to go first, sir?
yes, please. So yeah, today we're talking about a conditional use permit for the address 2202 East 80th Street. And so, the purpose of this coming to you today is because this is a large residential facility being proposed in a two-family zoning district. And so, this slide just kind of shows you on the bottom left side of the screen, you can see the image of the property in question. And on the right side of the screen, you can see a map, location map. Basically, the star represents the property in question as well. And then I presented the existing residential facilities and their 1,000-foot buffers for you. Here you can see this proposed facility is just south of Carnegie on East 80th Street. Again, the conditional use requirements are in reference to section 337.08 of the zoning code, section G. And so since this is greater than 5 participants, it's categorized as a large residential facility. These are first permissible in multifamily zoning districts. And so here's the zoning map. You can see the property in question is highlighted in the cyan hue there in the center of the screen. You can see that this property is adjacent to local retail, multifamily zoning districts, but this street is mainly a two-family zoning district. And so today, the criteria that we're looking at for the acceptance of this conditional use are bolded here. So they're mainly concerning if this facility is located within 1,000 feet of another existing residential facility. Another protocol is looking at the architectural design, site layout, home, location, feature of any walls, screens, fencing, this proposed property, making sure that this is compatible with adjoining land uses and the residential character of this neighborhood. You're also looking at if this facility meets all applicable yard, parking, and sign regulations of the zoning code. There's no signage proposed today. Here you can see some of the street context, and so I provided photos here. You can see top left is the southern view, just left of the property in question along East 80th Street. You can see this. The rest of these photos show you the character of the neighborhood, single two-family homes. all have porches, things of that nature, driveways, garages in the back. Just giving you more of a context of the neighborhood. Just across the street and next door are vacant parcels. Here you can see an outline of the parcel where this property is located, as well as the footprint of the existing structure. And so just closing up here with my portion of this presentation, reminding you that the requirements of this conditional use are checking if this facility is located within 1,000 feet of another residential facility. If it's not, making sure that this is a compatible use with the adjoining land uses and the residential character of the existing neighborhood, and making sure that the facility meets all applicable sections of the yard, parking, and sign regulations of the zoning code. I also wanted to make a note that these facilities, you have more than 5 persons, it's first permissible in a multifamily zoning district. And this protocol pretty much is that this would next, after this, if it's approved here today, it would go to Board of Zoning Appeals for the use variance for having more than 5 persons in a residential facility located in a 2-family zoning district. That concludes my portion of this presentation. Today, they're proposing 8 persons at this location. And so next, I have your slide as well, this PowerPoint. So if you'd like to.
Mr. Reed, would you present your case?
Yes, so we're partnering up with, or working with OMAS and the Adams Board to open up a group home where people come in who are dealing with mental health issues. It's a class 2 residence, which means that they could very well have anxiety and depression, you wouldn't necessarily know it. And so our belief system is that by providing them with better living, we can help them to learn how to get a job, like going up to Magnolia Clubhouse. We've been up there where they can learn how to work as a chef. They're actually shooting commercials and teaching about videography and things of that nature. So what we want to do is create that family environment where you feel safe, you feel secure, and we can help you to do whatever you need to do. So our staff is not just somebody sitting around. It's actually like myself, who is a certified recovery coach. I'm also a CDCA, and we have case management. We partner with the agencies like Murder State to house people to make sure that they get what they need. That is what our goal is.
Sorry, this clicker is extremely sticky. Too much. So the applicant also provided photos of the inside of the property as well.
Extra large patio minutes, 2 angles of the dining room. So that angle is standing back into the living room. And that angle is more of a side view from that window. How wide it is. That is the actual living room right next to the dining room. That is before you would walk in the front door, which is facing that picture you take a right. We have 2.5 baths. The middle one is bathroom off the kitchen. That where we see my legs. The bathroom in the basement, next to the living room, and that's the second.
I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself now. We need a little levity here.
So we have 4 bedrooms, which would be two bedrooms. Because as we set this house up, we can't do this without next the state giving us their regulations. We have to do everything based on this certification. Because they're still beyond you guys, there's still 2 other inspections we have to do. So it's 4 bedrooms, 2 people per room. Some of that furniture you're looking at now, the beds are the same, but the dresses are different. Because everybody has to have their own dressing. That is the lounge area, but right now we're doing some work. This room actually over here where you see this supply that's in there, that is actually going to be our computer lab. for those who need to take classes, when you need to do telehealth or whatever, you have a place you can go into to have privacy, you know, you can talk to a doctor, whatever you need. But these pictures are really showing that we got fire extinguishers throughout the house. That was when you walk through the front door, we got the kitchen. That's the one in the basement down by the locker. The backyard space, on the other side, well, there you go right here. That's the side of the garage where we are putting grass and making just a nice place where you can go and smoke if you're not allowed to smoke in the house. By the way, also, you're not allowed to, you must be drug free. You can't do drugs and alcohol in the house, and we're not, you have to be doing something. The people we're working with was 25 to 55 years old, because you're not gonna be able to sit around the underwear all day. I don't want to smell your house. We're here to help to live the best life possible.
And then, through the chair, I'd also like to announce that Kim Stephanie, the planner, is present as well, which she'd like to
Scott?
Morning, I really don't have any comments other than I have reviewed the information and find that it would not be a conflict within the area just based on the number of residents. As Xavier pointed out, this will have to be for zoning appeals for a variance just because of the number of residents. However, there is not another facility within 1,000 feet, and it doesn't seem excessive, and it seems as though it can be well managed.
Mr. Rivers?
To the chair, I just have a comment. I think that this is as a person that has experience in the field of criminal justice and working in persons facilities like this, because oftentimes they don't have a place to go. They're just out there, and they don't have the support systems that they really need to. So I applaud you for putting this forward.
1999, I was selling beer in West 21st Street about 3 years because the addiction got me so far down, I didn't know where to go. So my whole goal is that when people ask for my bio, I don't tell you about the student I have since then. I'm a beggar, I'm buying bread, that's what I'm doing. That's all we do.
Well, just one comment. I'm happy to hear that this community is taking mental health seriously. Because I think for years we would sort of sweep it under the carpet. I'm glad that we're providing alternative support systems. That's really what it's about. Right? The support so that folks can thrive the best they can. Isabella, any comments?
No, I think this, there's to be located within 1,000 feet. It's a really admirable, important use. So no questions or further comments from me. And I'll make a motion to approve this conditional use variance for the residential facility with 8 persons.
A second.
Roll call, please, Mike.
Anthony,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Absolutely.
McKnight.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Good luck, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another conditional use.
Yes.
Located at 3368 East 113th Street, for section 33708, paragraph 3, G, of the student codified support. Is Mr. Bloom here?
Yes, sir.
How about Mr. Oxen?
He's online.
Good morning. Hi, I'm online. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're gonna have a
I
staff.
apologize. I had a last minute family matter that had to be attended, so I do apologize. I can't be there in person. I do thank you for your time.
Thanks. We're gonna have our staff report by Mr. Bay first, and then we'll hand it over to you to present the project.
Hello again, Xavier Bay, City Planning and Zoning Section. Today, this next case is another residential facility located at 3368 East 113th Street. Alright, so this facility is also located within a two-family zoning district. This one is proposing 16 persons in a co-ed facility. And same case, they're gonna have to go to Board of Zoning Appeals if they do get the variances, or if they do get the conditional use approved here today. Their next step would be the appeal for the use variance at the Board of Zoning Appeals. Because this is classified as a large facility due to them housing over 5 persons. And so on the left, you can see the property in question, located right at the corner of Regalia and East 115th Street. And then on the right, you see another location map. You can see this area has a few more residential facilities located nearby. It is outside of the 1,000-foot buffer of an existing residential facility on East 108th Street. And so property is just south of Kingsman, located in a two-family zoning district. Here's the zoning. You can see it's adjacent to the whole neighborhood here is two-family. And the location and property in question is highlighted in blue. Always something. Yes, please. Yes. The arrow down or to the right. I thought bringing the mouse would help, but it looks like it's not. Check it out. Even just tapping the right arrow. Should produce. Here we go. I think I actually can do. Oh, great. Excuse me, let's solve this thing. Thanks, Tina. I think it should just yeah, looks like we're gonna hit the coach. All right. No, I didn't even grab these people back and forth. Let's just keep it. All right, so same protocol here. This facility is not located in 1,000 feet of another. We're looking at the context here of the neighborhood, making sure it's compatible with adjacent land uses, the residential character of the neighborhood, and also making sure the facility meets all applicable yard parking, sign regulations of zoning code. No sign is proposed at this time. No signage is proposed at this time. On the left, you can see the property in question once again, right at the intersection of East 113th Street and Regalia. On the right, you can see with a smaller highlight here, the property in question. So here we have a bit of the location context photos. And so just across the street is a single family home. Looking at an eastern view, right at the corner of East 113th and Regalia. Looking southern and southeasterly down the street here, you can see that there's two family homes. A lot of them have porches, driveways, parking bay. Just down the street on East 112th Street in Park Ridge, which is just in the opposite direction. I explained it. You're coming pretty much adjacent to the street is East 112th Street. So that's why we have these photos. You can see There's even more, two-family homes, even further down the street, you get into more of a single-family, ranch home, bungalow context, and let us see just great photos. All of these, yeah, here we go. Here's the site plan that they provided. You can see, they're using the existing structure there. The driveway in the back. The floor plan, first floor, second floor, basement area. You can see the outlet F and go into the amount of bedrooms in the right picture. And I'll just announce again that after this step, if they are approved today, they go to Board of Zoning Appeals for the use variance for a large residential facility proposed in a two-family zoning district, because these facilities are first permissible for multi-family zoning district. They're proposing 16 persons. And with that, I'll let the applicant go ahead, and we have their slides next. It's just this first.
Good morning, Michael Blue. I've been living in Cleveland for 7 years now. I live in University Heights. I'm in the eastern suburbs. I live in the city. I moved here from Los Angeles 7 years ago, where I was born and raised. And I ended up there. My grandfather was in the aerospace industry. Long story short, my uncle was a city councilman and the mayor of the city of Santa Monica. He's been a state assembly member. And now he's a judge for the county of Los Angeles. So I was on top of that. That's my family history, how I ended up in Los Angeles. I was personally, I'm still wearing my pin. I was on a land use committee in LA. I was a neighborhood council member, very similar to started here. City, you have the city council, then you have the neighborhood council. So we would deal with more microcosm. So that side, not this side of the chair. So here we can really I moved to Cleveland because LA got too unaffordable. I'm very involved with the community in LA, top of the neighborhood council. I volunteered with the police department, doing community engagement, working in urban areas. A good friend of mine, Leon Joseph, is the saint of Skid Row. He did a lot of work with the homeless population on Skid Row, even in our own neighborhood. So I understand mental health, whatnot. My grandfather ran a facility for developmentally disabled in LA. It's now a large organization. He's since passed. So I'm familiar with it. I moved out here. I worked as a landlord. I managed apartment buildings for out-of-state owners. And based on my background and my caring, I couldn't deal with the way that the owners were not giving me the tools to properly prepare the buildings that I managed. Really no longer work for them. JR, who you'll hear from soon, he's going to be working with us in this project for 5 years now. He was telling me, you have to open a group home, get out of this, working for these other people. We need group homes. And it took me 5 years to listen to him. And really, I was like, you know what, I have a job. I'm 9 to 5, I go to work and I take care of my tenants. And he was actually my tenant. That's how we first met. And so I started looking into the process, and it was on the back burner. Hanan, who is my partner on this project, he is a real estate investor. He has family that's been here since 1940s, I believe. They lived in Heights. They used to live on the east side, I believe, in Cleveland. He's Glenville area. His mother was born and raised over there. So he has deep roots to Cleveland and cares about the neighborhood. And we have not been buying investment properties as rentals. So he came to me as a landlord. And I helped manage the properties for him. He's back and forth here in New York. And we bought this property as a rental. It's a family house. That's how it was listed. We purchased it. And then once we bought it, and JR had been there with me when they said, this would be a perfect group home. It's not just your average two-family house. It has this extra unique feature on the front, storefront. You can see that. So anyways, we initially thought this would be a two-family house, and then JR convinced me, he said, hey, let's make this a group home. So we started seriously looking into that process, which is how we ended up here at this hearing. So this building is kind of a unicorn in the neighborhood. Yes, there are two-family and one-family houses on the block, but as you can see, has this extra full storefront in the front. And zoning actually mentions us that the history of the building, there used to be a retail location in that store. So we're right on the corner of Regalia and 113. Right there, blacked out spot. Kinsman is right over there. I know it's zoned as a two-family neighborhood, but on 114, there is, right around the corner, just out of this picture, there is an apartment building. Not how many units. There's an apartment building. The reason why we thought this could be a good location for a group home once we really started looking down that road is the walkability to Family Dollar 4 minutes away. There's an Aldi, a CVS, and all the bus lines in Kingston. A lot of our residents that went through this process had a lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of other appointments they go to at other facilities. The Mervis Taylor Center is straight down the street on Kinsman. So the location worked out as far as walkable, busable, public transportation, and there's also Union Avenues down the other direction, bus lines along Union. But really, we're right near Martin Luther King, we're close to the University Circle hospitals, anything else that they may need to fit to. We're a bus right away. Further, and Xavier already showed the not within the belt buffer. Here's a few more pictures. You can see the back half is where there was a two-family house before, and the front whole section there, where that sloped roof was a storefront. Next door to us, to the left of our building, there was a house that was just torn down a couple months ago. I believe the property is owned by the state. There's a lot of other houses on 112th, they just tore down a house. 113th, on the other side of Regalia, they just tore down a house. There's another two houses on 112th that are being cleared out right now that are probably, looks like they're gonna be following the same suit. Power's been cut for a long time, it's most likely gonna be torn down. So we just thought that this could really help improve the neighborhood by bringing vibrance and more people here. The pictures you see here are standing in the lot, the left of our property, looking towards Regalia, towards the corner of Regalia, the one on the top left. The one on the bottom is the rear of our property. We have a nice big yard for the residents to be able to relax, skated in, so have our own little area. And the other picture on the right of the top is standing away from our property, looking towards it on Regalia. We have a fence in front of it as well, for staff and park their vehicles. It's not just, it doesn't work. All right, so here's the other pictures. To the right side of the building, the left side is now a vacant lot. Same short view.
It's doing the Friday thing.
I also heard the down the trail. Oh, these are the technical difficulties.
Okay, so there we are. Just some more pictures of the building in the area. We're not planning on making any changes to the outside other than cosmetic. We're going to put some new siding The gutters will be, very deteriorated, want to keep in line with.
Look at you.
It's not online.
I'm gonna make this easy. I think we've seen enough, haven't we? Heard your story, is that?
Well, just, if I may, I would just love to show the blueprint layout,
Oh, okay.
and then. So,
Is this what the online folks are seeing?
So, there's a huge bag.
I can show the commissioners here. I have to show I have it right here too.
Oh, you
I mean, there's the plan there.
Yeah.
There it is.
all right, so this is the first floor, main floor showing the front, the right side is that, what used to be a storefront. And then the left is to be the residential living quarters. We're gonna have 4 full bathrooms, 1 half bathroom basement, so 5 bathrooms total. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms on that first floor. And then all the way to the left is a study area, which we're gonna have as a office and again, a room where the residents will be able to go have privacy. We have a meeting with the caseworkers and doctors online. We have apartment privacy over there. On the second floor, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 5 bedrooms with another open common area where residents would be allowed to have a TV space and a mini kitchenette. They can have snacks like fruits and vegetables, get water. Refrigerator would be up there as well. This is the second floor. Okay. The kitchen living room has a 2-family house. There would be a kitchen there, but we would have basically snacks, fruits and vegetables on the second floor. All the way on the left side is another little small study room area. And again, 2 full bathrooms upstairs with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedrooms upstairs. The basement, we're going to have a modular facility with 2 full sets of washers and dryers to accommodate the extra flow of laundry, as well as a finished area for recreation. Again, another TV area so that we can space out. On the main floor, we have the big room in the front. We're going to have a kitchen, open concept kitchen with dining area and big TV lounge area. So the state licensing has certain requirements for per resident, for recreation space and bedroom sizes. And based on these plans, we have exceeded the recreation space allowed inside. So there's, we're giving them plenty of choices on each level where they can hang out and watch TV and spread out. It sounds like a lot of people in one facility, but we're really giving all those different choices. The upstairs 3rd floor study area is not really a study, it's more of an open, closed porch with windows, like it's more like a sunroom. And then the basement area, huge basement area, plus the recreation. That is really, if the residents are going to be coming from facilities, we're not taking them out of Justice Center or off the streets. They're coming from a caseworker. They're all going to have a jacket with, each one's going to have a caseworker. Places like the centers, Signature Health, Mervis Taylor, Sharrock, coming from an agency. We're not coming. Now, while I personally don't have experience running a group home facility, they are here who's going to be working with us, has been running them for over 15 years. And we're partnering as well with another facility. We're not allowed to disclose the name, we signed an NDA, we're finalizing it. In Geauga County, we're working with a family that has owned these for about 30 years. They own multiple in Geauga County, they're not in Geauga County, but there was also helping us walk through the process. So my background is really operations, community engagement. I run I just started a community-based volunteer ambulance service. So, like, my personal, my passion is really giving back to. And I moved here with my family, 5 children, from LA because we understand the homeless issues, and we were unable to afford a house there. We were living in an apartment for years, very small for our 4 kids. And even friends of ours lived here. My brother lived out. We were also in University Heights. Who else lived up in Toronto, Canada? So we realized it was more central and way more affordable out here. You know, I've been here for 7 years, and I'm able to, like, being a landlord and seeing. You know, I worked in an apartment complex of 500 apartments in Shaker Square. I did my best to try and help them, but the owners were just tying my hands behind my back. And I haven't worked there for over a year now because they laid me off because I was trying to spend their money how they didn't want to spend it. I don't know if you're familiar with, okay, let me talk about some community outreach. We did a barbecue on July 30th, June 30th. We put up flyers around the whole neighborhood. We put up, we walked every single house. We gave out a flyer. Councilmember Gray was there at the barbecue. She was engaging the residents directly. We did a survey. We have a bunch of signatures from the neighborhood of residents that are in favor. We had one of the residents here actually with us. She offered to come speak, do public comment, but if you want to look over these signatures, we did our part as far as community outreach and engagement, just walk through here. So that's my spiel. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We should take public comment because it's a conditional use. I think the only question of note that we have is that it is the max number, so it is 16. So that should be part of the discussion, we think, as well as the sort of location and how situated it is.
Should I get back there?
No, you can, sure, you can stay there if you want. We have any public comment to offer, I guess, proponents?
Well, I
Those in
think it would
favor?
be a good place. Excuse me.
Come to the table. This is where the mics are.
Name and address.
Hi, my name is Charleston Green. I live at 3380 East 113th Street. I think it would be a nice place for kids because there's a lot of guys, well, kids on my street that's still in school. Don't have nowhere to go after they finish, get out of school and stuff, so they like on the street playing and stuff. They're very nice, no problem, it's a nice neighborhood. It just need a little updating.
And anyone else who would like to speak on behalf? Please state your name and address, please.
My name is Duncan Glass. I'm 13117. In fact, the neighborhood, I am a general contractor. General contractor for over 1 years here in the city. Met Michael probably 6 years ago. And he was explaining his life about people he was working for. I kind of like that because he seemed to be on the human nature side of things. He followed me around 5, 6 years trying to get me to work for him. I just wouldn't. I was too busy. I think I'm an excellent contractor. And he came up with this idea of group home in my neighborhood. And I was very interested because when I grew up in the 60s, the neighborhood was full of crime and businesses everywhere. And now it's like a bomb hit. And we need help over there. People that I went to school with, I see them walking up and down the street with nowhere to go. And he wanted to do a group home. I decided to look at the prints and guide him through getting it right. I didn't want to lay it in there. I wanted to strip everything out. I'm a lead abatement contractor for the state of Ohio also. And I brought all my good people in and we got the prints done and started rehabbing the facility. It's gonna be a great place. We made sure the rooms were exceeding, the sizes that's required by the, state. And, I like it a lot. I'll be finished with it probably in a couple months, but I pulled all the permits from the city of Cleveland. Pulled electric heating, everything is new in it. It's gonna be a great place. And met Mr. JR here that has a history in, running these facilities. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Any more comments? I guess you're Mr. JR.
Good morning. Thank you, council, for hearing me out. My name is Colbert Burrell. I live at 3606, that's my mom, 3214 Berkshire Road in Cleveland Heights, where I manage property there. And I also manage other properties as well. I work with Michael in managing properties, but I've been in the group home business for about 15 years. I've managed group homes for Hope Network. I keep looking at your name. It's got Edie Scott that runs E-Car House off 116. And, other group homes that, I grant. It's a compassion of mine because there's so many mentally ill people sleeping in tents, drug abuse, and things like that. And then you have group homes that give group homes like us that's trying to do the right thing by their clients and reputation. I'm a very caring person. I mean, I'm also an ex-service member. Like I have a cousin right now that's in a group home in East Cleveland. They have to go to food banks to get their own food. No TV. The phone's not been working for 5 days. And it gives people like us that want to do the right thing by the clients bad name. So this is really a compassion of mine, to try to put people in a good environment and for us to do the right thing. Like you said, Meredith Taylor is, right up the street, so that's where they'll be going to groups at and things like that. And it's very roomy in there, so it's not like they're gonna be packed in like sardines, because they're not. And it's a double whammy when you have a mental illness and a drug addiction. It's a double, and it's hard. And so we're just here today to plead our case and hope that, we can proceed with this. Thank you.
I think that closes the public portion. We appreciate your testimony. It's very powerful. Is anyone online?
Mr. Chair, I did not see anybody online raising their hands or unmuting at this time.
Okay. All right, that closes the public portion. I'd like to give our commission members a chance to deliberate.
Chair, can I just ask Director, can you state again?
Sure, yeah, I think the question or concern that we have is that it is at the max number of people, so it is allowable to have 16 people, but it is a lot of trouble. Women in different, I'm sorry, 6 to 16. So 6 to 16 is allowable in multi-family. So what we're looking at is 16 people for 2-family, and looking at the structure and seeing if that's.
Thank you.
Right.
Well, I guess I'll make a comment. I think just based upon plans that were presented, it seems to be ample space, square footage per person. Like the way they actually been able to spread it out, so it's not concentrated in one area. That they have places for people to go, for private conversations if they had to, studies. To recreation areas in the area. So and the beverages as well, so I don't see an issue with something that occupants on occupant role or density. Good night, any comments?
No comments.
Ms. Scott, do you have anything?
I will, say that, I have experienced, a high volume of group home, proposals recently. And, one of the things that we're concerned and we are concerned in this particular, case is the operations. And while Mr. JR has very much passion about what he has expressed for the need, the operations is one of the things that we questioned about this project. They were scheduled to present this to the planning commission, I think, during the last meeting. And we had a subsequent conversation with them prior to that meeting, so they postponed it. And we were really more concerned with the number of people and the experience that the owners had with operations. So whether or not they had an operations plan. I know Mr. JR has stated that, he is working with other properties. So it makes it clear to me that he's not going to necessarily be the primary person, or he's going to be relying on other people for staffing. And so, given the number of people, given the fact that when we asked about transportation, how will the clients or the residents be transported to their appointments, to services that are needed? And here's another perspective about how you may consider looking at this. The zoning is two-family. There are many two-family structures in the area. And when you think about two families, conceivably, there may be 16 people within a two-family structure, but not necessarily 16 adults. So, you know, we raise these as concerns because in addition to restrictions of the two-family zone, there is a deliberate investment taking place in and around this area. I have two residential development projects for, so one is CHM, I think another is Habitat, developing single-family homes within a generally close proximity to the site. And so we look at, you know, what we're trying to do as a city to develop more opportunities for people of low income to have a permanent place. And it doesn't take away from the fact that there's a definite need for this particular type of operation and facility. The question really becomes, where is the appropriate location for this? Would it be more appropriate on a more commercial corridor? Because if that were the case, then we would not need a conditional use permit from the planning commission.
I would like to address the operation, but I'm not in a position personally to question whether or not the facility has an operations plan. I think that comes to the licensing of this facility to the state. I don't, personally, I can't question that. I don't know how I could make a decision based upon that. That's just me personally, I wanna allow my, other movements to find it. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question. There is a state licensing process for this type of facility, correct? That covers the operational
Yes.
concerns?
Right.
Yes, that's accurate.
That was my point.
Okay.
Thanks for articulating. I see that, there's the owner, one of the owners has his hand up. Would you like to provide additional information, sir?
Yes, thank you again for your time, and I apologize that I can't be there in person. I do want to mention with regards to the operation, Mr. Burrell will be on staff full-time. So although the operations that he had in the other facilities is there, he will be with us full-time together with additional staff members. And as my partner over there, Mr. Bloom, has mentioned, we are working in conjunction at this point with an NDA signed we cannot disclose with regards to operations. As far as we look at it, together with Mr. Burrell's experience and our experience on the overall operations of apartment buildings, single-family homes, duplexes as well in the past, operations is there. We do know how to operate it, and obviously getting the guidance and working along the way. So just wanted to make sure that it's understood that Mr. Burrell is going to be on staff full-time. Not only him, we will have staff there 24/7, as well as him with our staff as well.
I know you, Mr. Burrell, have public comment, but I would consider him part of the ownership or operation, so I'm gonna allow him to make a comment. Mr. Burrell.
I'm just gonna stand if I may.
Sure.
And as far as transportation for the clients, that's where we're linking them up with mental health agencies. Case management is generally the ones that provide transportations for the clients or give them bus tickets.
We're actually just purchased a minivan, well, that we're gonna have as our own means of transportation as well, so. We'll be giving them bus tickets, the agencies, and we're gonna have our own vehicle that'll be to from.
I would, that's great. I think we should not be so laser focused on operation. I think there's some other comments that Ms. Scott made concerning the location and or number of homes in this particular service area. So you guys can opine on that. We can figure out how we navigate the boat here.
Yeah, to the chair, I mean, I respect the comments around location. As someone that has worked in direct service, I see value in integrating those individuals that are battling mental health and substance abuse within the fabric of the community. There's already so much layers of negativity imposed upon and preconceived notions imposed upon individuals that are battling mental health and substance abuse issues. And so part of the recovery journey, part of the navigation also includes being a part of a community fabric to celebrate and appreciate that there are differences, but that we can navigate those differences as a community at large. And so I think, again, I don't think it's within the purview of this commission to opine on the operations, but I think based upon the criteria, the zone shape, a residential facility in this multi-district conditional use, I'm in support of that. I think for the applicant to consider organizations as been named already, that they would be partnering with, again, while not within our purview, that is incredibly important to make sure that the residents have, or the clients referring to them, have access to those services so that they have the wraparound support.
No comments to the, I agree.
Isabella, any further comments before we call the question?
I'll just echo Commissioner Anthony's about integrating these facilities into neighborhoods. I recognize the importance of that rather than siloing people within commercial districts. Yeah.
Thank you. One of my fellow members.
I would like to make a motion that we approve conditional use for a group home at 3368 East 113th Street in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
McKnight.
Yes.
Thank you. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Pieces.
Thanks, Ken. Take care.
Good luck.
We have design review docket for northeast design review area. Docket number 2024-009, it's an office building new construction seeking final approval located at 511 East 140th Street. It appears that we approved this item, the schematic design on July 26, 2024. Who's here on behalf of the client to present the project? I have to swear you in. Is he here? Okay. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter now in hearing under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, it's all yours, Mr. Tronzek.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We are representing this office building that the design committee has already seen, and they have made comments of which we addressed by some revisions to the building. Some of the changes include a fence to the neighboring residential property in lieu of arborvitae, fencing also the dumpster so it is enclosed, and you will see in the elevations the roof pitch has been increased. Formerly it was a lower sloped roof.
We're waiting for those photos to come, those renderings to come up. Okay.
Yes. All right, there's the black and white version, and we did address the request in the design review by adding more windows. We've doubled up windows on the front side facing East 140th and the side elevation. And then there is a colored rendering. And we are utilizing a metal roof in a dark charcoal, almost black, taupe siding, thin brick veneer of a brown, a warm tone, and there will be a stone sill above the brick wainscot. And in these drawings, you'll see the 612 roof pitch. Formerly, it was only a 412.
Did you address the one comment here I don't think you addressed is the location of the dumpster enclosure?
All right, so the dumpster is shown on the site plan sheet. There it is, and then again on the first sheet.
Okay, thank you.
So it's directly behind the building enclosed by a opaque fence. And the fence details on sheet 1. There it is, to the left corner.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend.
Thank you.
Staff? Any comments? Sounds like you're satisfied with the direction. Thank you, Phil. Commission members?
There's conditions, we wanna look at those, the motion.
Do I have any comments?
Argo?
Isabella. I make a motion that we approve the office building reconstruction with the conditions decided by the Northeast Design Review. Do I need to read all of them?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Hooker,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
McKnight.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's another item under design review, Far West Design Review District, item number 2024-009. Auto Express signage seeking final approval located at 3250 West 117th Street.
Yeah, Mr. Bay is gonna.
Oh, okay. I was looking over here, but I guess it's not.
It isn't, it's a, you'll go into it.
Okay.
It's a little crossover.
Okay.
Here, I'll-
This was coincidental.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. You
okay.
showed up. I just got
Yeah.
you for that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Right, I'll jump into my. So, hello, my name is Xavier Bay, I'm the city planning zoning section. Today, I'm presenting to you a signage proposal from Auto Expo USA. Their business is located at 3250 West 117th Street. So the proposal here you can see is it's a wall sign. Technically, it's off premise because the business is on an adjacent building. So here you can see the proposal is actually on the side of a wall located at 3240 West 117th Street. The business is actually located right here in the corner. So there's a technicality here. This business in question owns all three of these parcels, but the business is actually operational on the corner at a separate address. Therefore, the signage today is actually perceived as off-premise business identification signage. And so the technicalities of our code would define this as a billboard, because any off-premise business sign is categorized as a billboard. It's not a billboard in the traditional sense, but since the business is not precisely on this parcel where this proposed sign is located, that's how it's categorized. And so, typically, as you know, the planning commission has the jurisdiction to vary the sign code. The main administrative, it can't be administratively approved, right, because it says it's not by right sign. And so the main things you're looking at are design compatibility, design guidelines, and minimum variation from zoning. And so here, I just have taken up about 800 square feet of the wall on an adjacent property. And so the variances are needed because the off-premise signage is located on a different parcel of the actual business. The main reason why this is seen as business identification sign is because of the Auto Expo USA at the top there. That's the name of the business. If that wasn't there, this could potentially be seen as a mural. We would also advise the applicant to not include the Cleveland sign logo as well if it's other businesses.
Destination Cleveland
Yeah.
may have.
The typeface.
Typeface or not great. Or they would need.
Right. So that's, if you have any questions, I can answer them. But that's it. But yeah, so you're really looking at this, so you've seen, sign variances before. So that's not something out of the nature of this proposal, but it's seen as
Chair Xavier, so just want to make sure, you know, what we're considering. We could approve variance with conditions, so like what we just talked about with the type base for Cleveland as an example. Doing this right, so go back to where you were showing us where the property, where the different buildings are.
Yeah, this could actually show it maybe a little better.
Okay.
Right here in the corner is where Auto Expo USA houses their business, right? The intersection of Tristan and West 117th Street. This is a separate parcel and a separate building, where the highlight yellow here, right side of this building is where the mural or from signage proposed. Did that answer your question?
It does. I think I'm just trying to understand like, feasibility of what pedestrians or drivers are seeing that would lead them to the act.
Yes, sadly, I do not have street view photos. But I mean, you know, if you're driving, I would say it's northbound on West 117th Street, you'd see the business and then their mural. If you're coming southbound, you won't necessarily see the mural. You'll just see the other side of this. What's now a daycare. We see this.
It's not within my zone of work.
No credit, no. Just follow up on Ms.
Business
Athens'
oriented.
point. Is there signage identifying the business at their location? So, I mean, it says,
I would,
Oh,
if the applicant or neighborhood planner is aware.
Morning, Chair members, Nate Law, Farwell City Planner. I don't think the applicant's actually here in the meeting, so, I'll answer this. There is existing signage on the premise to identify this.
and one other question I have, who owns the building they're painting?
They own,
Oh, they own it.
this building. They own, here's a parcel map.
I apologize, I missed that.
The highlight in blue is the property where the mural or the sign, the business sign is going. And the business actually owns this parcel, the neighboring parcel, and the parcel in the corner where the
Gotcha.
business actually goes.
So it's contiguous, I mean, they're not consolidated, but
Correct.
they have ownership, okay.
You better watch your back in the hallway.
Telling you.
Somebody might be coming for you.
I'm gonna check out my office before you walk in. Might be booby traffic. Okay,
Yeah, that should answer.
yeah.
Thank you.
Isabella, any comments?
I think it's a really fun way to have your signage within the context of an art piece like that. So no other comments from me. I'm just, glad that they own the building.
I'll move for the approval. I have support from my fellow commissioners around that condition around just confirming licensure around the typeface of the font used on this signage, not mural.
The sun.
Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Luker,
Yes.
Craig Scott, McKnight,
Yes.
And motion carries. All right, we have one mandatory referral, ordinance number 827-2024, introduced by council members Hart, Bishop, Griffin, by departmental request. Who's here on behalf? I thought you guys were speaking.
Can I just say, welcome to the city, welcome to the city. These are new members of the Mayor's Office of Capital Projects under Commissioner.
Nice to meet you.
We recognize he used to work for Brittenell Parks.
Oh, okay. I didn't recognize those faces in the audience.
3 weeks, right?
Glad to have you here 3 weeks. So, I'm presenting a parcel, non-buildable parcel for the city builders. Slideshow too brief, but
have approval from the council person for selling this piece of city-owned land. They're hoping to get into the garage side of structure, housing. And it's vacant lot, city acquired it for roadway purposes in 1930.
You were rolling through the slides, just
So, yeah, we've got, it's non-buildable lot, it's been approved by council for the ordinance. B27, got a picture of it on the corner, right here. And it's going to be used for residential development by city buildings. Commission members, any comments? As you go back one, you can kind of see an aerial view of it. That's the parcel adjacent to the where the building house. This would be a single house.
The garage will be rear loaded, and so, yeah, that's why they want to come in off of Fulton Air. So it actually enhances the design to have them have this parcel, and the parcel of the west is land bank.
Or unless work best if you have a little more room.
will they be consolidated after?
Yes. Yeah, their surveyor mistakenly identified it as land bank, and, you know, so when they went to consolidate, that's when, yeah, so they intended.
And this is in the city, so not land bank, but roadhouse.
Yes, it's former right of way.
Was it was former right of way for roadway? Right of way for roadway projects. All the right of way pieces go into RoadCap. All the land bank lots are in community development, and then economic development has the industrial commercial.
Oh, I didn't know that. So, I know this is sort of off topic, but it's kind of relevant. How many of those slivers of land do we possess that were created as a result of roadway projects?
Not many. It's sort of hit or miss. There's a lot more kind of random leftover ODOT right of way here and there, but yeah, these city-owned, formerly thought needed for right of way, but didn't end up being used, so they're excess lands, really, there's not many.
So it would have been a roadway expansion.
They did, but I gathered that they acquired more than they ended up using, and so it just went back, you know, to the city ownership.
Anything else, sir? No, any questions? Questions, Commissioner Morales?
Make the motion that we approve ordinance number 827-2004.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
McCray Scott.
Yes.
McKnight.
Yes.
Had a very exciting morning listening to the first item, huh?
Thank you so
All
much.
right, welcome. All right, we have administrative approvals, there are 3 on the docket.
These are all zoning matters that you have seen before. There's a number of times.
Here.
Administrative cycle.
I move that we approve all 3 administrative items that are on the agenda for today.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
McCray Scott.
Yes.
McKnight.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have one more item of business before we get to the director's report. It's Far West Design Review new member nomination. You all received.
Oh, that's
Oh, yes, and we also received an email. with
Yeah, we got the.
So, actually, very nice resume. I like the graphics.
Is the member present? Is Carrie Starry on? Not, that's a big here.
Director Wong, this is Nate Law.
Oh, hi Nate.
Sorry, I had to jump out of the room and jump back on virtual because I have a meeting in a minute. But the new member, Ms. Starry, is not able to make it. She's out of town, but expressed that she's very excited to work on the committee. She's a West Park resident, has lived in the city for a number of years, and is excited to use her background in design for the committee. So we're happy to have her.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
McCray Scott,
Yes.
McKnight.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Director, it's all yours.
First of all, I want to recognize Mr. Gus Frangos. We are all aware that he passed last Friday. He has been such an important person in kind of the direction and trajectory of our city and county. He was the first great county land bank model in Ohio. He wrote the legislation for it in 2009. The difference between our land bank, the development, and the county land bank is that the county land bank can actually take structures, whereas the cities can only take big. So having a county land bank opened up a lot more possibility. There was for acquiring properties, to demolish them, acquiring them for rehab, or conveying them to a partner. They were very quickly able to convey properties without having to go through multiple legislative processes. So his legacy is just that, after the foreclosure crisis, was able to handle issues of blight very quickly, restored over 2,000 homes the past few years, and is building new housing in the city of Cleveland. And I personally worked for him as an intern. Oh, come on, yeah. First urban planning job. So what I remember about him is actually that he was a really jolly, joyful person, that he really cared about his staff. My one story that I want to tell is just that I could hear him in his office when he was at the land bank, and at the end of the day, he would just sort of sing to himself. And something was, you solve the problem. He was sort of singing to himself, but he was very like a joyful, jolly type of person, but also very serious about making sure that our communities were in the upward trend. So just want to say thank you to Mr. Frangos. His funeral is later today, and I want to recognize him and recognition. Next. Cleveland joined Cuyahoga County, County Planning, Metro Parks, NOACA, and the Mandela Foundation for the groundbreaking of East 9th Street. Thanks to Commissioner DeGennaro, who has been doing a lot of right-of-way acquisition or right-of-way contracting. This trail will be completed in 2026. Will be a major lakefront connector between downtown and the St. Louis neighborhoods. Extremely excited about it. And Bobby Richtel was the originator of this idea over 10 years ago. So it's amazing to see how long ideas take to sort of germinate and become reality, but also that they Last few slides. Kayla Flake, our intern extraordinaire, made this slide deck. So personal liberty to make sure that it was extra sparkle on it. Kayla will be joining us full-time on Tuesday, September 3rd as a zoning technician in the zoning section. So she'll be working directly with Xavier and Shannon and Mari. So we're really excited to have more capacity with zoning. Final update is that, final two updates. We're gonna say goodbye to our Cleveland Foundation fellow, Sam. They will be going to Boston for grad school and immensely helpful in actually building out the transportation management program. So they worked very hard on that, very hard on US DOT technical assistance grant that we received for driving communities. And they are just awesome addition. So funny, so sarcastic. So we will miss them a lot. And then my final notes, if I could point you in the direction of our Floral Friday staff. We were also participating in Floral Fridays. This is Michael Bozak's final planning commission.
No, this is why I'm here.
Oh, that's for your guitar. Do you want to say anything?
No, I want to miss Michael. Well, I'm not
We're all
here. I want to miss you. It's been great working with you for the last 7 years.
Yeah, definitely. I will miss it. It's been a real pleasure to work with him. Politics gets a little crazy sometimes, but people are good.
8 years as the Far West City Planner. And then 14 years as the Secretary Administrator for the Planning Commission, and 22 years total. You're gonna miss him a lot. You're gonna grab him Monday, Tuesday before he leaves because he's
Do you
got a
need
lot
help
of knowledge.
to hold him?
I'm glad you offered.
He's not really going anywhere. They're gonna lock him up.
Yeah. I will say as one of the newer commissioners, I really do appreciate your patience in the beginning. I had a lot of just like, I don't know what I'm doing questions. And you were very patient and just like navigating some of the like just back end logistical elements and also your deep knowledge. It was apparent to me very early on. I was like, okay, I'm that person, like I do like a scan of the room. I'm like, okay, he's someone I could definitely know I can rely upon.
All who do that, raise their hands.
You guys think I'm looking at the door when I look to my left? I'm like gauging his reaction. It's like my barometer.
So he is having a goodbye, a send off next Friday. If you want to come, I think you have an invite.
Oh, okay.
But I will make sure that's
Yeah.
sent to you. So
Thank you.
yeah, thanks. Thank you. Michael.
Thank you.
Don't forget us.
No, I won't, but I have.
Other things.
You got plans.
Plans. Don't call my number. All right.
You wanna change your number?
Are we ready to adjourn? Adjourn.